We all know that if you have a HSA eligible high deductible health plan and it's family coverage, you can contribute to your HSA and get a deduction up to the family contribution amount. But what if one of your family members that's covered is a young adult? They're not a dependent on your tax return, but they are still on your health insurance. Surely they can't contribute to their own HSA as well. I got those rules. Interesting question, interesting planning strategy, that and more coming up. If you have an HSA eligible high deductible health plan, you're not required, you're allowed to open up an HSA and contribute to that HSA up to the annual contribution limits, and there is a catch-up as well. When you do that, it's a tax deduction. If you're contributing right out of your paycheck, it not only saves you fed and state taxes, it also saves you FICA taxes, so that's a big deal. Any interest, or if you invest those HSA dollars, all of that is tax sheltered. And then if you withdraw those dollars for qualifying medical expenses, co-pays, deductibles, prescriptions, that sort of stuff, those dollars come out tax-free. It's the only thing like it in the tax code. Well, contribution limits for 2026 for single coverage, okay, $4,400. That's the maximum. You're not required to contribute that much. That's the maximum you can do. Another $1,000 if you're age 55 or older. So $4,400 single. Family coverage, though, which is you and spouse or you and family, whatever, is $8,750. That's the contribution limit for 2026, and an extra $1,000 if you're age 55 or older. If you and your spouse are both age 55 or older, you can each do an extra $1,000. You'll just need to do it to your respective HSAs. But those are the contribution limits. We've got a fantastic question and a scenario that we've encountered a few times here at KFG's as we've strategized for clients, but I don't believe it's one that we've talked about on the air, and it's a fantastic strategy when the circumstances are right. Here's the question. So it's from Anthony. Love the show. Appreciate that, Anthony. Really do. A question relates to IRS publication 969, contribution limits to HSA. I'm an early retiree and recently enrolled in an ACA plan that qualifies, so healthcare.gov, Affordable Care Act, okay, that is eligible, qualifies for an HSA. And this is unique to some of the tax law changes. Okay, got it. The plan covers myself, my spouse, a 23-year-old child that's no longer a tax dependent, and a 20-year-old child who is a tax dependent. I only covered my 23-year-old adult because the ACA plans in their own area are not that great, no PPO plans and all that sort of stuff. In any event, when I read the IRS publication 969, it looks like the family limit and consolidation of that limit only applies to my spouse and I under the married rule. My 20-year-old is not eligible as they are a tax dependent. My 23-year-old is eligible under the rules as they are not a tax dependent and are not captured by the married rule. And here's really where the question is. All that is just laying out some facts. Here's the question. Can my 23-year-old contribute to their own HSA if they're on a family plan? And if so, at the single limit or by my reading, the family limit as the ACA plan is a family plan. Thanks in advance for considering the question. Oh my goodness, fantastic. And yes, we have helped people navigate through this. And I think logically, you would look and say, well, no, the contributing to an HSA is dependent upon the plan, and the plan can only have one contribution, whether it's single or whether it's family. That's logic. That's actually not the rules. Take a look. So this is a resource from industry expert that he nerds out on a lot of stuff. Nerd's Eye View is actually his perspective. Michael Kitces does a lot of content in the financial planning sphere and world. And this article is a few years old, however, kind of speaks directly to this and has an example that almost lines up completely. But referring to this, he states in publication 969, the IRS outlines specific requirements that must be met for an individual to be eligible to contribute to an HSA plan. Here's what's required. You are covered under a high deductible health plan on the first day of the month. Okay. You have no other health insurance in addition to this coverage. You're not enrolled in Medicare, even though there's been a lot of discussion about, well, should we waive that requirement, get rid of that bullet? Okay. And then fourth, and this is the key point, you can't be claimed on someone else's tax return as a dependent. Whether you're claimed by them or not, you can't be claimed. Okay, so those are the 4 criteria. And then notably, one thing that is not a requirement for HSA contribution eligibility is for an individual to be on their own healthcare plan, which means that multiple family members who are all covered by someone else's plan can contribute the maximum amount allowed by the family high deductible health plan to their own HSA account. This is incredible, and it creates, this is a unique situation, but it creates a unique opportunity when this presents itself. Because as you know, they've expanded, I can't remember when they did this, a decade ago, maybe longer, time flies. But you can have a child on your health insurance up until they turn age 26. Well, that doesn't necessarily mean they're a dependent on your tax return. They can be on your health insurance, but not even be eligible to be a dependent on your tax return, and therefore that's this sweet spot of when the circumstances are right to potentially take advantage of a tax planning strategy. So then let's go to the next part of the question. Basically, this law is saying that, the parents, you as parents, you can contribute up to the family max, but then your adult child, 23-year-old, who's not a dependent on your tax return and can't be a dependent on your tax return, they can contribute to their own HSA. So now the question is, how much? How much can they contribute? And if you do some research online, a lot of imprecise language out there, but this is where I refer to Nerd's Eye View, Kitsis, because I would say this is a credible source. And he actually cites, this author of this article on his team, cites this almost the exact scenario. But again, a couple of years ago, so the contribution limits that he puts in this example don't apply today, but let's take a look. So example 1, Steve and Sharon are a married couple. They have 2 adult children. One is age 22, full-time, works full-time, and not eligible to be claimed as a dependent. And then the other is 20, it's an undergrad student and is a dependent on the tax return. Steve and Susan have a family high deductible health plan that satisfies the HSA requirement, and both children are covered by the plan. So question number 1, or issue number 1, Steve and Susan can contribute a combined total of, in this case, it'd be $8,750 in 2026 to their HSAs. They are allowed to do that. They're married. This is a family plan. That's no issue. That's not in question no matter what happens to the adult child. The parents can do that. Now, going on, because Chelsea is not able to be claimed as a dependent by her parents, she can contribute, in this example, $7,300. Let me say that differently. She can contribute $8,750, the family maximum amount, to her own HSA and deduct that contribution on her own tax return. Why? Wouldn't it make sense that, well, no, she's not married, so why would she be able to do a family contribution? Because she's on a family plan. Your contribution limit follows the plan that you're on, not your own marital status, not your own, not whether your parents already contributed, not anything. It depends on your plan. So going back, Anthony, to your question, you and your spouse, you can make an $8,750 contribution to your HSA for 2026. You state that you're age 60. I'm not sure if your spouse is 55 or older, but you can do an extra $1,000. She can do an extra $1,000 on top of that $8,750. She'll just need to do hers to her own HSA and yours to your own HSA. But your adult child who's covered by the plan but who is not a dependent, not eligible to be a dependent, can also do $8,750 to their own HSA as well. You can even make that contribution for them via sort of a gift. You can make that contribution. They get to deduct that on their own tax return. And if you say, they don't even have that much income, hopefully they do. Well, maybe they do a Roth conversion if they have some pre-tax salary or something like that. Maybe they create some income so that this deduction offsets it. This is a unique, if you're looking at this and saying, this is not fair, it's just a very small window of time, creates this opportunity. If you're not aware of this opportunity and it applies to you, it just passes you by. You don't realize that you missed out. But man, if I don't want you to miss out. If this would apply to you, I want you to take advantage of it. So that's how the rules work. This all emphasizes being proactive with your tax picture and making sure that your taxes are connected to the other areas of your financial plan, right? Protection planning, your health insurance, and the health insurance even of your kids influences your tax planning strategy. Obviously, this influences your cash flow. You've got to decide whether you'd invest these dollars. A lot needs to be considered. all 6 areas of your financial life. So work with your certified financial planner on that. That is why we're so passionate about saying the 6 areas to your financial life, my financial life, everyone's financial life, they're connected, and you need to be considering all areas when making key financial decisions. Work with your CFP on that. If you don't have a CFP on your team, you can contact one on my team. Find us online, Korhorn.com. That's Korhorn with K, wisemoneyshare.com. You can find us here as well, or give us a call, 574-247-5898. All right, there you have it. Go out and take your next wise step in your financial life.